Welcome back to today's Family Connection Point. Today we're in Psalm chapter 22, verses 12 through 21. And again, this is a messianic psalm. It's actually a passion psalm, so it points to the suffering of Jesus Christ. So we're going to look at how this is a remarkable psalm that actually tells us something in the future that was going to happen. And I'm actually joined by my remarkable daughter, Trinity, and I'm excited to have her here.
Hey.
And we're going to, for our object lesson, we're going to use this right here. We're going to pretend like we're putting together a time capsule, and I'm going to ask my kids if you had one or two items that you could put into this time capsule and we could bury it and have someone dig it up maybe in 100 years, then what would you want to put in here?
Pictures, probably.
Pictures, okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, you could put like a picture of our family. That would be good. That would tell them something about today. Maybe a newspaper clipping, even though people don't really use newspapers anymore. But it would be really cool if they could open this thing up and see what it was like 100 years before. And that would be kind of like a message going forward from us to someone else. We're not going to be around probably. So that would be really, really cool. Now, let's pretend like this is 1,000 years old. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah.
What do you think would be in here if somebody put together one 1,000 years old? Just take a guess.
I don't even know.
Yeah, just maybe like, I don't know.
Clothing?
Clothing, that's good. Well, now let's say we open it up. It's 1,000 years old. We can verify that. There's a note in there, and it describes you to a T. Your name, what family you came from, everything. How remarkable would that be?
That'd be cool and kind of creepy at the same time.
Yeah, that would be. That's what we're actually going to look at. This psalm was actually written about 1,000 years before Jesus Christ died, but it describes in detail what Christ went through, and so it's remarkable. It's a really remarkable thing. So. The first thing, remember, the psalmist is writing about some suffering that he's going through, and so it has an immediate application, but it also points to the suffering of Jesus Christ. So David is actually the writer here, and he's saying, hey, man, this is tough. There are people surrounding me. My enemies are surrounding me, and he compares them to three different animals. He compares them to bulls of Bashan, it was an area where it was like really, really green. The grass was plenteous, and the bulls would be really, really strong because they were well fed. How would you like to be chased down by a bull?
No, I would not like that. That would be creepy.
No. Oh, how about a lion? That would be pretty scary, right?
Yeah.
Well, he compares them to a lion as well, and he says that this thinking about his enemies attacking him has wore him down. Has actually worn him down. His bones are starting to ache. It's taking a physical toll. It feels like he's being poured out like water. He's parched. This is really taking a physical toll on him. And then he compares them to another animal, his enemies to another animal, to dogs, packs of dogs that are waiting for him to die so that they can devour him. That's a pretty scary thing. We are actually familiar with packs of dogs. Where we used to live, there were packs of dogs that would travel around, and one dog's not very intimidating, but a bunch of dogs who are hungry are super intimidating, and so you can kind of feel what the psalmist is going through. And then in verse 16 and 18, we see a clear picture that points forward to Jesus Christ. He says, they pierce my hands and my feet. And in verse 18, he says, they cast lots over my garments. This is a clear picture of what happened at the cross of Jesus Christ. You see, this wording is kind of strange, even though it's pointing to possibly the dogs or the lions making these marks. The fact that they would say their hands and the feet is a kind of a weird thing to say, right? Out of all the places that the psalmist could point out, well, what's really cool about this is that crucifixion wasn't even invented at this time as a way of executing people. So you couldn't even say, well, he was talking about the Messiah being crucified. Well, crucifixion was hundreds of years away from being even invented. So what it was like, this is like David putting in a time capsule the crucifixion and us opening it up 1,000 years later. When if someone did that, you would say, "Wow, they must have some type of special power or special way of like knowing the future." Well, God does because He holds the future in His hand, and so we are super encouraged by the fact that God can be so detailed about something that would happen 1,000 years later. They cast lots over his clothing. That's definitely pointing to what happened at the foot of the cross, right, Trinity? And then at the end, it goes back to saying, hey, I prayed and I believe that God will deliver me, that God will deliver me. So obviously, this has an application for our children as they face problems in life. The Bible says to cast all of our cares on Him because He cares for us, right? And so we want to be praying, expecting God to deliver us in His time from our problems. But what I want our main application to be is just to be taken back by how remarkable it is to have this written, and 1,000 years later, it took place to the T. How remarkable is that?
It's crazy.
That's pretty crazy. What does that say to us about the Bible?
It just says that God planned it out.
Yeah, God planned it out and that He knows the future. He's not taken by surprise. So that is our lesson for today. I hope that was helpful for you. We'll see you later.
Bye.